Good evening, everybody. Sorry for the delay. For some reason, I'm not able to go live in the actual event that was created and sent out. So I'm going to be sending out an email to the list. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so this evening, Sunday Soul Care. Hopefully y'all will find this because I really want to hear your feedback and I really want to do some coaching. If you guys jump on here, I'm going to go ahead and invite who I can. Hopefully everybody sees me because this is like, I don't even know what happened. It's saying I can't do a video in my event that I was trying to do. So if you got the invite for the event, which I sent out to my list, I don't know what's going on, and I'll just have to send this to you guys afterwards, I guess. So if you have any questions about as we go through and you're watching the replay, please post all your questions, thoughts about this. This is a deep topic, but it's also a place for transformation. This was probably the most transformative concept or lesson that I got. When I actually got it and started to work on this, it was just like my life just was crazy. So hi everybody. Hi Jen. Hi Sarah. If you guys are on here, thank you for being here. I'm going to record this as I'm putting this, I'm going to be putting this in my course. And so, if I say some things I haven't talked about yet, that's why that I'm kind of, recording this for two purposes. And so tonight, what we're going to talk about is religious deprogramming, theology. We're actually going to talk about theology first, and then we'll get into the religious programming that can happen. And then we're going to end it with an empowered faith, okay? Which is that's the end result that we want, right? Is to feel empowered in our faith. We want to feel connected and out of resistance from opening ourselves up to something that we might not understand because of previous programming. And just to be clear, if you're not sure what programming means, so when we are born into a family that has prior experiences and prior teachings and beliefs and morals and values that they pass on to us. They're raising us, right? They do what they can with us. They do as they were taught and the best that they can, right? They're not meaning any harm with it most of the time. I won't say that for everybody. But then we get into the schools and even our churches and things like that. And so tonight I'm coming from a place, I'm going to share some personal stories with you guys. I'm going to come from a place of the reason we're talking about this. Number one is not to shame or make anyone feel guilty for their religious beliefs, right? That's not zero, right? You can believe whatever it is that fills your heart, whatever allows you to show up in love and light, the best that, anything, whatever beliefs you have that help you be a good person and don't judge other people, helps you be the best you can be, and you show up in your power along with being at the highest good of you, everyone around you, and the world. So if your beliefs in spirituality, if that's where you're at right now, where you're like, I know what I believe, I've done this work, I'm good to go, I know that I'm here to be a light worker, a healer, and I'm not sure if I need to do any more deprogramming, which, by the way, we always do. I don't think we'll ever be done with clearing out those beliefs that don't serve us, because they're the ones that keep us from taking action, or they're the ones that keep us in guilt. They're the ones that have us questioning our truth. So if you're questioning what you believe, stay here, okay? Because that's what we're going to get in, because guess what this does? When we question what we believe, we question what we believe to be true. If we second guess it, or if we think, oh, is this is this going to be right for them or not? Oh, is my family going to see this and they're going to, they're going to say something and I'm going to have to hear it from my mom. Like, and I'm just telling you guys thoughts in my head when I first started to show up, online and sharing my story and doing all the things. Those were thoughts that went in my head, and sometimes they would keep me from showing up. So that's number one, right? Our beliefs of who we are. So if we're in the spiritual closet, and what I mean by that is if you have been raised in church and you've been, and I'm not saying anything bad about, I think that us that were raised in church actually have an advantage. I think that it is a beautiful place to be raised in, and we are introduced to spirituality in that way. So I am so grateful for my upbringing, and I'm so grateful for where I'm at in my path, in my relationship with God, Goddess, all of the universe, whatever we want to call it. I call it God and Goddess. But that is what we're doing this for, is if it keeps you from being real in your life because you are afraid of criticism from your family or friends or people that have known you your whole life. And now they're like, oh my gosh, Nikki is like pulling oracle cards and playing with crystals. And oh my God, what's she doing? She's going to go to hell, right? So just a couple things. Number one, before we start this conversation, I want to tell you once again, if you just popped on, is if your beliefs allow you and support you to show up as your best self and in love and serve and discover who you are, like you feel fully supported in your spiritual beliefs and your religious beliefs, then that's amazing, okay? That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing tonight is we're going to talk about theology and what it is. Then we're going to call out or become aware of any beliefs that might be keeping you from taking action in your life, like a different action, because it would be seen as, ungodly, or you're sinning and so you're going to go to hell, or you have a conflicting view. And this is why I'm a soul care coach, because almost 80% of my clients, when I first get them, they believe that if it's not praying and it's not the Holy Spirit, then they are sinning and they're going to go to hell. All right. Like that thought doesn't serve us, right? If we think that God is always, he's like looking at us and sees what we're doing. And if we're human, we are going to go to hell. So we have to, so religion can have a lot of power behind it. And that is one of the things. Okay. But also when we're so focused and we're so shut off from anything else being real, it keeps us from experiencing love in a different way. And it can actually hinder our healing. And here's what I mean by that. So when I first started this work, and what really got me thinking about doing this training was my uncle. This was about a year and a half ago. My uncle told my mom what Nikki's doing is evil. Okay. Is what he told my mom. And my mom, bless her heart, she said, I appreciate your suggestion or your opinion, but whatever Nikki is doing is the opposite of evil. And she had my back 100%. She knows that God's my boss, right? It just doesn't look the same as what God being his boss looks like. And I loved it. However, she looked up to my uncle. She had and she still does, she takes his word very seriously. So subconsciously, what happened is that it kind of cut her off from experiencing the type of healing work that I do, because she has that resistance. All right. So that's one example. And that's what really shot me into theology, because theology is the study of the belief in God. And if you have not studied theology, I highly recommend it. Please, if you think that you know everything about Christianity and being in a Baptist church, if everything you've learned about God is from the church only, I just ask you, as somebody who loves you and wants to see you come out of out of whatever it is you're in, and you want to feel better, because if you feel great and your life is going perfect and you speak your truth and you do it without fear or judgment, okay, go on with your bad self. But if you're sitting here judging me because of the title of this training, which, by the way, I think this is okay, I want to do this on my personal page, but I think I might be in my group. But anyway, that's what I was trying to do. Like, it won't let me do like lives on my event. I don't know what happened. But if you're sitting here judging me, or you are, saying you're feeling a fear or resistance, please stick around. I suggest look up theology, find a course. By the way, I'm going to be creating one because it's so powerful. The knowledge that I have found, and I'm studying the Bible because the Bible is God's word through other humans that have lived the earth and their perspective, right? And we're not going to get into all that tonight because I'm keeping this at 30 minutes and we'll be here all day. But this is what I live for, is that what God looks like for me now, oh my gosh. I mean, like, our relationship now is like I have his back, he has mine. I have her back, she has mine, right? Like, it's amazing. But before, when I was raised in Baptist church and when I was raised in Christianity, if I sinned, I had to be like, oh my gosh, I need to repent my sins and I'm going to go to hell. It didn't serve me. And I didn't feel fully aligned with that way of rejoicing or spending time with God in a church. I just didn't. All right. I was embarrassed to pray. I didn't feel a connection with a higher power. Matter of fact, I think I didn't believe in a higher power for like 10 years. I would say that I was atheist or whatever for 10 years. Because it was from the time of like 23 to my awakening happened, and I was just kind of like, I don't know if God exists. All these shitty things happen, nothing ever good happens. I don't think, or maybe I'm being forever punished for my sins. So, this type of belief does not serve us. And if you think it does, let me know how. Okay? I'd love to know. So, I'd love to know. I want to know all the things. I want to know what is coming up for you. I want to know what you believe, all right? I want to know what they all are, because this is also a really, really important piece of discovering your truth. We're peeling back the layers of what our programming, our trauma, and some of it could be religious trauma. Things can happen in a church just as much as it can happen outside of a church, right? That type of, and tonight we're not talking about religious trauma, okay? We're not going to bring in that. It's a whole other thing. We're strictly going to be about what it is. We're peeling back the layers of the programming of religion. And what that is, programming is other people's beliefs. So if you have a belief right now and you don't know why you believe it, that's a good indication of it being someone else's belief that has been put on you, that you better believe this or else you're going to hell, or you're not a good human, or God's not going to love you. All right, my God loves everybody. And so these are just some of the things that kept me like in a box. I thought I had to believe this certain way to be accepted into society. I thought, because I was from a small town, I thought that if I felt or thought any different way, then I was sinning and I needed to, be punished. Or, one of my clients, is like, is it between, witchcraft and Christianity? Like, where is the line drawn? And for me, the line, there isn't a line that's drawn. Isn't that funny? Like, I'm called, and what I've been called is a Christo-pagan. Erica, if you're still on here, if you heard me, and Jen, you're on here, it's called a Christo-pagan, Christian/pagan. And it's by this wonderful, she's a doctor of theology, and she wrote a book about it. And so I'm going to talk about it at the end of this. But let's get into the deprogramming, or to see what exactly is going on here. So first of all, theology is a study of God, the belief in God, okay? And then to get critical thinking, let's get started on, what religion were you raised in? Let me know in the comments if you'd like to share. Let me know, what religion were you raised in? What were the main teachings you were taught? So if you were Christian, right, the main teachings were that, God sent Jesus to the earth, and he was an incarnation of God himself. And then, he died on the cross for our sins. And then there was no other incarnation of Jesus after that. And that we needed to celebrate Jesus through Jesus Christ. That's when we have redemption. And if we don't believe in Jesus Christ or accept him as our Lord and Savior, then we're going to go to hell. That's typically the gist of like Christianity. New now, not the old. So the old Christians, prior to, Constantine coming in and writing, putting in the Bible too. Remember, you guys, it's a lot. The Bible is different pieces that have been found scattered, right? They've been, and also in different languages. The Bible has been interpreted, misinterpreted. Also, remember, humans wrote the Bible. Humans are flawed. So when somebody interprets the Bible, it's not always like, oh, that's straight from God's mouth, because it's not, right? It's just not. So, and we're not going to get too much into the Bible, but I just ask that you open your mind right now and stay focused on, if you're having a hard time and feeling resistance around energy healing, or having a soul care practice, or doing anything that goes against your Christian views or your upbringing, and it's keeping you in a state of shame, guilt, fear, judgment, then that's what we need to look at, because that's not your true nature. And you're not here to believe something. You're not here to believe a certain way to be good. That's my belief. We are not here to be born and then have everybody act accordingly in order for us to be, feel good, right? Or whatever, power and all these things. That's usually what religion is like a way for men. It's a man-made way to control the people. And sometimes it was for love, and sometimes it was for fear, right? But just for you to remember that what your truth is, like what feels true for you. Just like if you come to me and ask me what I think about, if you're feeling resistance, and this is because a client did ask me this, and she's on here right now, and I was like, oh no, I don't think so. And and what I want to say to her is, what do you really feel, right? Because that's what I'm here, is to help you step into your truth. Like, what is your truth? And to separate it out from what other people have told you. Oh, you're a good person if you believe this, but you're a bad person if you believe this. That is not welcome here. That will go out the window. So if that's something that you feel, and since we are in the soul relaunch, if you're not comfortable with accepting everything and being there, I ask you for just give it a try, just for a moment. Set your judgments aside, and we're going to look at this as dogma programming. It is. I'm just telling you. It is. It's the programming. Okay, so the next one. So what were the main teachings you were taught? 3, how did they impact your life overall? So your religious beliefs, how have they impacted your life overall? I know for me, it kept me at least my moral ground, right? Of like, I knew what was right and wrong morally, but inside. So my soul was like screaming like, this isn't all true for me. Remember, this is for me. This is my experience. And now from studying theology, and I got my certification, and I am a practitioner now of of theology studies and things. So I'm going to be bringing it into the group even more, because that's even bigger than any religion or spirituality. It's just our belief. And you guys know that this soul relaunch is based on belief. When you have an awakening, you start to question your beliefs. That is when we raise our level of consciousness of the way that we have seen things, or the opinions we've allowed to come in and silence us, or cause things that happen in our life. At the end of the day, it's like, okay, but that's not my voice. I'm here to help you find your voice, like what you really believe in. And if you really believe the things that you grew up believing, that's amazing. And as long as you are empowered and able to show up and share your stories with love, without judgment and fear, you go right on and do all that. But if you're stuck in depression, addiction, I'll tell you, my religious programming was a big part of my addiction. 100%. So if anybody else is in recovery, let me know. Has that played a part because of the way you should be, right? All right, so 4. So how have they impacted your decisions in your life? Oh my gosh. For me, and I'm going to post all these, okay, but this is the worksheet. These are the questions one-on-one if we do a coaching session. This is what we will go through to discover what it is really, what is yours and what isn't. So, how have they impacted your decisions? For me, it almost felt like I made my decisions to be a rebel, to be different. And I'll tell you another story. I remember when I had my son and I got pregnant. I was 20. I wasn't married yet, which was one of the beliefs, right? That was one of the ways I should be. So in my mind, I felt so much shame around my family because I was pregnant and I wasn't married. And for years, I would feel less than because I had a baby out of wedlock, right? Or I smoked cigarettes. I remember my mom, and if she jumps on here, it is what it is, my group, but she won't even smoke around her side of the family still, right? She won't be who she is. She's always been the black sheep of her family, and she's a beautiful person, you guys. If you've ever met my mom, you know she is like the best person in the world, but she's still in that place of not feeling like she measures up to that side of the family. And and my grandpa's a pastor, my uncle's a pastor, and they're beautiful people. However, their expectation to live God's word by what they believe it is can cause us to feel less than if we don't meet them. And so that was one of the things that didn't resonate with me. It was like, oh, so since I got pregnant out of wedlock, now I'm going to go to hell. I'm just screwed then. I might as well just be a fuck up. And I'm just being real with you guys, like 100% transparency. This is what I believe, and this is how I have moved through this. Okay, so let me know with that. Next one, are there any negative repercussions to your beliefs from childhood? If so, what are they? So like negative repercussions to your beliefs from childhood. So like when you were a child and you didn't go to church, I'll just say this one. I don't know if this is what it means, but you didn't go to church. I mean, I remember that was a big no-no of like, oh, you didn't go, then you're going to get in trouble. So, okay. So the next one, sorry, I want to go through these, is did or do any beliefs you have make you feel fear? I've already asked that. So if anything makes you fear God or fear that you're going to be reprimanded because you're not perfect or the way you should be, that is a limiting belief. Right now, we want to call out those beliefs that aren't serving you, okay? I also, the next one with Christianity, they really believe that God is outside of us, that he is this almighty being that is outside of us, and that we need to act accordingly, right, in order to go to the kingdom of heaven, which Mary Magdalene clearly states when she was the witness of Jesus' resurrection. She was the witness, not the male disciples. I know, sorry, my like divine feminine stuff's coming in, but Mary Magdalene is the one that also said the kingdom is not a place. The kingdom, is not a physical place that we're trying to get to here, that Jesus was taking us to. The kingdom is within us.
She called that out, right? And she's the one that Jesus was like, I'm going to reveal my resurrection. I'm going to resurrect from the grave, and Mary Magdalene is going to be the one that sees it. And this is where I'll stop right here for a minute, but this is why studying theology and the stories of Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene and the divine feminine stories, the pagan stories, and I'll give you guys an amazing book again that I'm reading. It's about the Christo-pagans. It's like a mix. It's a blending of Christianity and paganism. It's actually beautiful, and I love it. And I'm definitely probably going to call myself one from now on. But I'm going to add that because it gives you a different perspective of like, oh my gosh, like, and it's not about the brain. It's not about the mindset, you guys. It's about the heart, and it's about the body, and it's about us feeling like that's so true for me, or ooh, that's not true for me. It's really about you leaning into your intuitive senses of what is feeling good and what isn't. And if it's not, to start to question it. That is awakening, okay? And that is starting to deprogram and reprogram. Actually, I like to call it deprogramming and coming back to your true essence. Okay, so that's the deprogramming exercises of the questions that we're going to ask. So now we're getting to critical thinking, right? So what is your religion if asked? And I'm going to look at your comments if you guys have made any. What is your religion? If I would ask you, what is it? If you would put that in the comments, go ahead and let me know. What do you believe in religiously? Beyond a shadow of a doubt. What is your belief right now of a higher power? What is it beyond a shadow of a doubt? What does that mean for you? What do you believe in religiously? 3, is that really what you believe in? Or is that dogma programming in your life that the energy is moving, that you never corrected? So again, this is when I really want to coach somebody on it. Ooh, I want to do this too. As far as Jen, remember that is my practice demonic? We're going to talk about that as well. I actually have a practice here that you guys can do if you are questioning if Reiki, if that is, if you're wondering, is that demonic? Can I be listening to her? Chakra work, oracle cards, pendulum, the pendulum practices, anything that you feel like, ooh, this might be going against my beliefs. I have something for you. Okay. I'm going to give it to you here in a minute. Okay. So yeah, I think I'm going to do this in a series. This is the beginning of a series, you guys, because we're going to go way deeper into this, because it's just, I'm telling you, if you really take time to do this work that we're doing, it's going to change. You will show up with more confidence, more self-acceptance, more self-trust, more self-belief, more happiness. And I think trust and confidence are the biggest ones for me. So many times I'm asked, like, how do you show up and do this? Like, where does that come from? And I'm like, because I trust that I trust myself, and I believe wholeheartedly what has happened for me. And also, I trust my intuition, I trust my higher power, and I believe that they are my beliefs to my core. And that nobody, no family member, nobody can come at me and say, you're wrong, and then I would feel wrong. And it doesn't matter what people think of me, and I still show up because I've done this work that we're doing right now. It's that powerful. So, okay, we'll get into more. We'll have to do another session because there's like so much. But I do want to tell you about that. If you think your practice is demonic, we're going to go through that in a minute because I do want to share you with that. So, okay, what do you believe in spiritually? So is religion and spirituality, is that different for you? Or and again, if you're just learning all this, if the only thing you've learned is inside of a church, that's okay. Okay? Like, just call it like it is. Like, that's really all the education I have is from Sunday school, and all of that. And that's okay. Like,
That's where curiosity comes in. And we're going to go through the 5 steps here in a minute. So you guys can do this afterwards. But it's just like really just being, nothing is good or bad. Nothing right here in this space. Nothing is good or bad. Nothing you believe, nothing you say is good or bad. Okay, let me see here. All right, so hi Sarah, hi Jen, Christian. Okay, Christian, so do you believe in heaven and hell? I do believe in heaven and hell, but I believe they can be created on earth. So we can have heaven on earth or we can have hell on earth, right? I don't believe that that there is someone who tells us or judges us, right? That judgment, I don't believe in that. I don't believe that we're going to be judged at the end of our life and he's going to say, okay, you did well, you're going to heaven, and you did bad, you're going to hell. No. Hell for me, this is hell for me. I'll tell you what it is. Hell for me is if I die not knowing, or sorry, how do I put it? Okay, if I die and I see my twin, here we go. This is something a guy is a Christian, by the way, on a podcast explained it this way, and it's perfect. That if I die and I see my twin, like, you know, we have a twin, a good and an evil, and I don't recognize them at all, right? I don't have any idea who they are, meaning that I didn't reach my full potential or who I really was in this life, or I didn't discover my soul truth or my soul mission, and I wasn't love and light while I was here. I didn't get past all of my trauma and heal to a place where I turned around and started doing it for others. If I die and I don't know who that other person is, that is hell for me. Heaven on earth can be created, and it's by how you choose to show up and how you choose to treat people and what you make things mean. I believe our soul goes on and we reincarnate. I believe there are many reincarnations of Jesus in the Bible, and there's actually proof, and we'll get into that in another part of this series I'm going to do about all of this from my training in theology. And I think that getting curious about all this is agree that hell is on earth. Hell, well, but I kind of feel hell. I feel hell. Hell can be on earth, yes, but heaven can too. So I'm going to ask you, since you believe that hell is on earth or can be on earth, do you also believe heaven can be on earth? Because they're polarity, right? They're like good and bad, right and left, on and off, right? If you believe that one can be on earth, you have to believe. I mean, you should. I don't like to use that word, but it just balances out, right? There is never, ever, will your life only be positive. Ever. This is why I have a coach. Right? We have to have the negative in order to grow, right? So, okay. So I don't spend forever on this. Let me go on into the next. I want to get to this because I really think these questions, Jen, about and Andromeda, hi, and Angela and Christina, if you're still on here, is my practice demonic? I think that's going to help a lot of you if you feel any resistance to having a soul care practice or diving into divination tools or anything that's feeling not good, right? Like you're doing something bad. I know 100% these questions will help you because, again, like I said at the beginning of this training, what's happening, I believe, God is love. God is love. God is not fear. God is this ever-flowing energy of unconditional love. And so if you ever start to come from a place of fear, you know that you're not operating from that place of spirit, right? You're operating, and it's trust. It's all of those things, okay? So what do you believe in spiritually or practice that creates conflict with your religious upbringing or programming? Well, we just talked about it, right? If you are really curious about oracle cards and doing the pendulum and Reiki and chakra work and all of that, but yet this little voice or your family member or a friend that you grew up with that is also very Christian and goes to church, or your mom or whoever, and is like, oh my gosh, you cannot have those in my house. Or
what are you doing with those? You're going to go to hell or whatever it is. If that happens, just keep note of that. And if you feel like you should be punished now because you've done something, and also maybe you feel like you're like, okay, I don't want to upset the people that I love, right? And I don't want God to be mad at me, because you know what? In that moment, when you've not studied theology, you've not had an awakening experience, you're not questioning anything, that's truly what you believe. Our beliefs are the framework of our reality. I'm going to say it again. Our beliefs are the framework of our reality. What we believe is what is created in our life. And so if somebody tells us we're doing something wrong by playing with tarot or whatever, or diving into those things, we truly believe them. And then that sends us into this place of shame and guilt and disappointment and fear. That is not, for me, you guys, that is not what God is. Matter of fact, like, that's more towards like the devil. I mean, and judgment. When you're judging somebody else for what they believe in, and again, this is that programming, that religious programming, that dogma programming, that our family is like, oh, she doesn't believe, she's sharing stuff on law of attraction, I'm going to block her because I'm going to go to hell if she's on my Facebook. That really happened to me by somebody I went to school with. Do you see? And how did that serve her? None, right? How that served that person? I'm sure if she doesn't see my law of attraction stuff and my spirituality stuff and my all the things, she's going to see him somewhere else. I mean, but anyway, just think about how your beliefs serve you, because at the end of the day, if it's drawing down your vibration, you are going to attract more of that vibration. That is a universal truth. And what I'm talking about here, our beliefs creating our reality, that's a universal truth. The model is just a universe, like it, just like gravity, just like air, oxygen, it exists. Nobody created it, it just exists. Same thing with the model. A circumstance happens, we make it mean something, we have a thought, that thought creates a feeling, that feeling, we take action or we don't. We burn someone's house down for burning our cards. Hi, Darla. Love you, miss you. But Darla, just going back to what, I won't tell the whole story. I'm not going to, but just that moment that happened with you, that thought, we were angry together, right? That thought, and then that thought caused us to, we almost started standing outside and wanting to really cause a ruckus for this. But no, then Darla graciously had a different thought of some sort, okay? And she chose to handle it differently. And the outcome isn't her in jail. But you guys, I'm just saying, and I know we're getting off track here of religious programming and all that, but all of it ties in together, and it's not something anyone can change. That is what I believe in. I believe in the truths that are just true. There's no denying that they're true. But also when they're based in love and forgiveness and understanding and this grace, right? And not this judgment and shame and guilt. That's what we're getting away from. All right, so if you have a religious or spiritual conflict, what is it? All right, what is the conflict? Why do you feel it's a conflict? And again, this is coaching. If we were on a Zoom call right now, which is what I really want to do with this topic, and this is why I wanted to do this tonight, was just kind of give an introduction of what we're going to be, I could be doing on a Zoom. Why do you feel the conflict? Is the conflict from your current beliefs or another time period in the past? Really what we're looking for is just someone else believing something, so we pretend to believe it, or we've always believed it, and so how can we believe something different? Or we're going to be shunned from the church or shunned from our family if we believe differently. Who shuns? God doesn't shun, you guys. God, goddess, universe, source does not shun. And I also believe we're all God's children. Jesus was not just his only son. Jesus was a higher vibrational being on this planet that no one else had been that high of vibration before. So he did work miracles because that's where he was at. He had a higher understanding and he had this strong connection to God that nobody else, he was channeling all of that, right? He was a channel for that divine information from source, from God. So those are my beliefs, and I stand in conviction with my beliefs. Now, I didn't before, but now that I'm done with the theology course, I got my certification, I can bring it into my coaching now. And also, when somebody like my beautiful uncle who I love, and he is a pastor of a Wesleyan pastor, Baptist, Christian, I don't know, but the next time something like that happens, where I'm told that what I'm doing is evil, I have an educated debate that I can come back at, or I can respond with love as I understand when people don't understand something, they fear it. It's out of ignorance. And I have to have compassion for that. Of course, my ego came in and was like, I don't go and bash, Christian pastor or whatever, Wesleyan pastors. I don't go into churches and say, half of what you're saying is keeping people in shame and fear and guilt, when God is not fear, shame, and guilt. He is love. Like, for me, I'm very passionate about this because, again, my addictive behavior was not created from, but just, I just couldn't fit in that box of Christianity fully. And so I felt like I was going to hell. So what the hell was the point? What was the point of me not? All right, let's keep going. And I'll post all these questions, but these questions are to get you guys really thinking about this. And then at the end, just wait. Okay, so do the beliefs you hold today represent the person you have chosen to be? This is another huge reason, okay? This group, my work, the Soul Relaunch, Soul Care Coaching, is to help you find your voice, to choose who you are going to show up as and who you're evolving into. Not what has been expected of you, not of who you should be, and not like none of that. It is you discovering and evolving into the divine being that you are, right? And healing. This is part of healing. Deprogramming is it's like /healing. That's really what deprogramming is. All right, 11. So which beliefs were chosen for you? After we went through those questions, I'll go back to the other one. Do the beliefs you hold today represent the person you have chosen to be, or the beliefs chosen for you? This is a good question to ask yourself. Am I living in effect of other people's beliefs and choices, or am I living at cause for my own choices and beliefs? I'm creating what I'm experiencing, or am I just experiencing life at what is thrown at me and what I'm told to believe? Right? Just which one is it? Which one do you want it to be? Which beliefs were chosen for you? When you can get really clear on that, that's a really defining moment when you can step back and say, oh my gosh, this isn't even mine. I don't even believe that, right? And then as an adult, which beliefs have you chosen for yourself? And this is in the coaching session when we get to the place of really defining what those beliefs are that are going to support you as you show up as your best self, and starting to do your light work and start to do the healing work without the nagging voices in your head of like, this is wrong, shame on you, what are you doing? That hinders you from fully expressing who you are, okay? And recognizing your gifts and your purpose. Like, that's what's hindering you. Okay. Do your personal beliefs chosen by you feel more empowering than the ones chosen for you? If yes, why? If no, why? And again, we won't go too deep into this, but just asking yourself, do my personal beliefs chosen by me feel more empowering than the ones that were chosen for me? And here is where my ego started to come in of like, but not everything's supposed to feel good, Nikki, Again, with recovery and taking substances outside of myself to make me feel better, right? That was in my head. Like, okay, because when I found out I could choose my beliefs, I got pissed off. I was angry. I was like, it can't be true. It can't be true. I've been able to just choose what I want to believe this whole time. And I thought, it can't be that easy. Like, isn't there like a process? Like, what? Like, I don't know. It just blew my mind that these thoughts that I've thought over and over and over and over my whole life, that my parents told me that I should believe, and everybody else, they believed them too. So I wanted to be accepted, so I need to just believe there's a God. And this is what he looks like, and I'm going to die and go to hell if I don't do these things. And so in my mind, I thought, it's not about me, like, whatever, okay? So then that kept me in depression and all of these things for me, okay? So after this session that we've had together, which I know it's been like a super thing, start the beginning and go through all the questions. Can you see God as given all sorts of gifts, and all you need is faith and intention to stop judging yourself? Because that is what we do. When we think that what we're doing is against something, we're judging it. We're not fully standing in our power and saying, this is my truth. This is why I'm doing this, because I fully believe in myself and in my higher power, and this is what is best for me. So when we come from the place of, I don't know if this is best for me, other people have to tell me what's best for me, that's where I was, right? We are powerless. So as a result of this session, what has changed in regard to your beliefs and what you feel about spirituality, religion, and yourself? Again, this has been a really fast session here, but if we'd like to we can do a Zoom call and we can have everybody come on and you guys just throw them at me and let's get to coaching, because I promise you at the end of this, you will have a new empowered story. So here are my 5 steps to doing this on your own, okay? And then I'm going to go into the demonic practice things to ask yourself. If you have a question in your back of your mind, is this demonic of what I'm doing? My participation in the soul relaunch, is it demonic? Is this against God's word if I'm in a mindfulness workshop or whatever, okay? So, number 1, to reprogram, first to deprogram the religious programming. So we're doing religious deprogramming. Number 1, become aware of the limiting belief. Become aware, and which is what we just did with all these questions. Become aware of the times when you've had a feeling that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm awful, or I'm not good enough, or I'm going to go to hell because I had a baby out of wedlock, like for me. Also, if I smoke a cigarette around my family, they're gonna think less of me. I'm not God's child. All of these things, right? So just think of the moments in your life that you have felt less than around, religion and all of that. Or like, what is, if you're scared, if you're in fear of it not, of you not being good enough when you die to go to heaven, you're going to go to hell. Like wherever you're stuck in fear, become aware of that. Don't judge it, okay? Again, we're just using our feelings to gauge where our thoughts are. Until you are a master of being present with your thoughts, and a master of mind management, which is exactly what you're going to do if you stick around here, because that's my mission. Until you get to that place where you're able to clearly point out what you're thinking about and the stories that you're telling, tune into your feeling. We're all empaths here, or at least we're very empathic, right? We can feel. So tune into how you feel in certain situations when it comes to that. Okay, so we become aware of the limiting belief, story, thought. All right, that's what it is. 2, then we evaluate that belief, that story. How is this story serving me or not? Get curious. Start to study theology. What is the study of belief in God? What is that? Like, what's behind that? Which I'm going to read a little something here in a minute. What is paganism, right? What's Hinduism? Study all the religions. That's my suggestion. That's what I did, was I studied all the religions. I studied, again, I just finished this theology course that I started like 8 months ago. You guys, it's taken me a while. That's why I'm just now talking about it, because I feel confident. That is what will happen. that you will go from uncertainty with a belief, you'll get curious, you'll study it, you'll make it your own, and then you're confident and you start to talk about it and you start to change your stories, which is the next. Well, actually, the third is what feels better to think, right? So you become aware, you evaluate it, you dissect it of like, where did this come from? That's a really good question. The second one, is this my belief or is this somebody else's? And again, this is what we can do in a coaching session where intuitively I can tap in and kind of help you with that, okay? Because I know that can be difficult when we're not yet honed in on our intuitive gifts and how what our intuitive yes is and our intuitive no. Like, that is what a soul care session is for, is to really get down and dirty with your beliefs. And by the way, we're doing theology, religion, all of that this week. And then next week, if you guys want to dive into another area of our life, so like love, our beliefs around love, our beliefs around money, like I'll do a poll to see what you guys really want to dive into, but I want to help you restructure your stories to new empowering ones are going to help you. Okay. So 2, evaluate, get curious. And then 3, what feels better? So for me, that belief of I had a baby out of wedlock and I'm going to go to hell because God's mad at me, versus into that empowering thought of I had a baby before I got married, but he helped me become a better woman as I prepare for the man I'm going to marry. Like, that's my new story, right? That's a new story. It feels so much lighter. Like, oh my gosh, I can go to heaven anyway. Even though I had a baby out of wedlock, I can still go to heaven. God still loves me because I'm here loving other people, right? I'm sharing my story with love. I'm not fearing things. I'm not damning people to hell and judging other people of like, you don't go to church, you need to go to, you're not going to heaven because you don't go to church. Like, those types of things. That's so superficial that when people do say that to me, I'm just like, I have compassion for them because they are in their programming. Okay? Not an excuse, but it's true. They're in their programming. Okay? All right, then 4 is to reprogram. You reprogram the new empowering stories. And how do you do that? You start to tell different stories. You start to sit with your stories within your soul care practice, right? You start to study things, just like I said earlier. I got really curious about theology and the study of belief in God when I wasn't quite feeling confident in my beliefs yet. But that reprogrammed my mind with new neural pathways with that same belief of I am a child of love. God is love to me, right? God, goddess, that's what it is. And then I started saying I don't have a religion because religion is man-made, and I still don't quite have one yet. I'm spiritual, right? I know that there is a energy of unconditional love that runs through everything, and the plants grow and we grow, right? We have this energy behind everything that is causing the evolution of things, right? But also spirit and all the things. All right, and then 5, tell them. Tell your new stories. Take action from a place of empowerment, because the thought you're thinking, do you guys catch that yet? That your beliefs, right? They're thoughts, they're stories that you say over and over and over. And that is what triggers an emotion in your body. And that emotion triggers an action to take or not to take. So when we're in fear, God is damning us. So the thought, the belief of, oh my gosh, I had a baby out of wedlock and no man's ever going to want me because I'm not righteous. I sinned. That thought made me feel ashamed, right? And guilty. And so I identified as a woman who just wasn't good at relationships, so you can imagine the type of relationship I've had. Amber, she's on here. She's my best friend of like 30 years, 25 years. She knows all of my relationships. And And you know, that's how it was. Because that was the belief. So that was the action I took. I wasn't serious about any of my relationships. And so anyway, do you guys see how those beliefs affect the decisions you make, the way you show up, the confidence that you're in or not, like all of the things are up here. Okay. So to deprogram, become aware of the limiting stories, evaluate it. Is it yours or isn't? 3, what feels better? What's a better feeling thought, a better feeling belief? And then 4, reprogram by studying it. And then 5, tell your new story. That is how we reprogram. We deprogram and then it's almost like we're peeling the layers off, right? All these layers that have been put on us from society and all of the things, domestication and all these things, we're peeling them off to reveal our light. And then we are able to show up in our confidence, self-belief that we're able to do whatever we put our mind to, right? All of these things, and we feel supported by this higher power or our higher self or the earth, Mother Earth, right? And paganism, or the universe and so or whatever, right? But it's all the same thing. So, okay, now, is my practice demonic? I know that there's going to be quite a few of you. I know because I get your question like in my mailbox and on coaching sessions of you have resistance around, doing the Reiki box. I got a couple messages about this of like, does this go against my religion? Is this go against my, Christianity? And I would come back with, well, does it? I don't know. Does it? That is not for me to tell you if something goes against it. So here's what you can ask yourself. Okay, here we go. Let me see if I can. Okay, here we go. Okay. So where is it at? And then also choosing the lens. Oh my gosh, you guys, we're definitely doing a series on this. Okay. So first of all, history of labeling things demonic. What people did not understand in the past was called demonic. I want to remind you guys of what the Bible said was demonic, all right? Seizures, coma, depression, schizophrenia, all manner of mental illness, medicine, black cats, and anything they did not understand. And this comes from studying the Bible, okay? In my theology course, my teacher. The question I get a lot when speaking to others about spirituality and conflicts with religious beliefs is, am I going to go to hell? Will this upset God? Here are the spiritual conflicts in a nutshell. And you guys tell me if this sounds familiar, all right? So, number 1, people feel that if they practice Reiki, crystal work, tarot, Wiccan, shamanism, and many, many other modalities, that they are in crisis with their soul's salvation. Number 2, that fear keeps many people in a state of perpetual guilt while practicing something that is meant to make them feel at peace with themselves and with their creator. Number 3, in essence, it's a self-punishment. We have been conditioned to believe that if we are happy and at peace without an establishment, we are doing something wrong. Religions throughout history had reasons for teaching this: power, control, and money. So I want to ask you something. What does it matter what we believe if we're happy, at peace, and showing up in love? What does it matter? What does it matter? If I could be coaching an atheist that doesn't believe in a higher power. However, she's so happy with who she is because she does the work. She's deprogramming. She is, discovering who she is. No, she doesn't have a higher power, but she's happy and she's the best she's ever felt. I actually do have a client like this. And then I have another client who is very God, her higher power is her thing. She used to think that only God did things for her. Any good thing that would happen. And this is something that, Amber, I know you and I have talked about this, about how when good things happen in our life, and this is how my client was, she's not like this anymore, but she wouldn't give herself credit. She would only give God credit. She got a good job. Oh my gosh, thank God, he blessed me. Oh my gosh, thank you, Lord, all these things.
then when bad things would happen, or bad, sorry, because I don't do any of the like judgment about circumstances. I think that everything is supposed to be there. But anyway, when something bad would happen, she'd be like, God is punishing me. God is, I did something wrong. And she would, and like, I could feel her energy in our sessions shift. So her whole feeling, her whole emotion, how she felt in her body was determined if God loved her or not, or if what happened in her life. You guys, this is a very, very self-sabotaging belief. And if you have this belief, I'm just going to ask and challenge you that what if that wasn't true all the way, right? What if actually your thoughts, your actions, your habits, all of you as a person, what if you actually were part of that creation and it wasn't all God doing it? It's meeting, I always say meeting halfway, right? So taking credit, if that's hard for you to do, taking credit or saying I did this and being proud of yourself, like you always have to make it be God, that's an unhealthy relationship with a higher power, in my opinion. That's not a relationship that's going to serve you. So and another thing, we place so much, like I see other clients and myself as well, and my mom, I love her to death. I don't know if she's going to pop on here. She probably will now that I've talked about her. But I would put so much expectation on God to make things happen in my life. And if he didn't make them happen, or if the opposite happened, I'd be like, fuck God. He's not real. He didn't do like so much. Like that's awful. That's awful, right? Like for me now that saying it, I'm like, sorry I put so much expectation on something outside of myself to determine what happens in my life. Now, my role in this world is to bring you home to yourself, to find your voice, to distinguish between other people's beliefs that you've been programmed with and your own that will lead you to your soul purpose and activate your intuitive gifts. What that higher power looks like does not matter to me. It's a personal, intimate relationship. And this is what's not taught. Well, kind of in church, they kind of talk about it, but it's like, let's take the pressure off God for a little bit, take responsibility for what happens in our life. Anyway, let me get off my box and get to these questions. I know y'all are dying to hear them. Okay, so if you think your practice is demonic or you think you're doing something wrong, let me see, Brittany. Hi, Brittany. It's been a while. Yes, if you're still on here, give yourself more credit for the good things that happen. Yes. And what if every action you take in life leads to great things because you did those things? And yes, 100%, you do those things, right? And then it's like, and create your own belief. Yes, create your own belief. That's what I thought was like illegal, right? I felt like I was doing something wrong, creating a new belief. And that's actually like the thing to do. Okay, so here we go. Today, I'm going to help you guys release some guilt, all right, and fear, and find the path in your life that brings God into your spiritual practice, right? Brings a higher power into it, whatever that looks like. The great invisible spirit belongs to you too, not just those who are in religion. Oh my gosh, I love that she wrote this. It's like refreshing. Not just those that have committed to a religion. Matter of fact, I think people that, don't have a religion and are spiritual and have their own intimate connection, I think that's beautiful. Like, I don't want my God to look like anybody else's God. I don't. Like, I like it that my God is, our God. Like, it's just, I feel so connected now with a higher part of me. And it's something that, had I not done this work we're talking about, oh my gosh. So number one, here we go. Ask yourself this. What is my intention in what I practice? Ask yourself. So if you're asking yourself, is my practice demonic? Ask yourself, what is my intention?
what I practice. So with a Reiki box, right? Making one. If you're having trouble, really getting aligned with Reiki, what is the purpose that you'd use it? Or a prayer box. You don't have to call it Reiki. Reiki, Holy Spirit, I believe it's the same thing. But what's your purpose of doing a Reiki box? What's your purpose of pulling an oracle card? What's your intention? Your intention. Like, what is it you're wanting? Is your intention love? Your intention is to feel better? Your intention is to send loving, healing prayers to someone else, right? Okay, so 2, when you help others with the gift you practice, do you and they feel good? So this is more for like healers that are practicing now, but when you help others with the gift you practice, do you and they feel good? So if you're practicing tarot, all right, or you're feeling called, I want you to pay attention to that too. What you're feeling called to learn about, or feeling called because you have a gift and you're able to do this. When you're doing that, do you and they feel good? How do they feel? Do you feel peace afterwards? Do your clients feel peace afterwards, or solutions, or they feel balanced out, or whatever? All right. And then 3, what else can you say? What else can you say you have faith in that brings you into harmony with spiritual, godly, universal nature love? So what else can you say you have faith in that brings you into harmony? So, even with, I had a friend, I don't know if she's on here now, but, I had a person, a person basically didn't want their daughter in one of my workshops because of what I do. Now, that's another incident that pushed me to do this, because as a mom myself, as moms we are all on here, I believe, what she's actually doing is keeping her daughter from experiencing an opportunity to reconnect with herself, right? With her truth, with her light. She's blocking her from an opportunity to experience more love. And that is what bothers me, and with my mom as well, right? More healing. They're cut off from that level of healing simply because they're judging it, simply because they don't understand it. So for you, these are, the questions to ask yourself. Here's the 4th. So, and this is the last one, the last question. So the next big question is, how do you choose? Oh my gosh, please listen to me now. If anybody just dozed off or whatever, let's listen right now, right? This is it. This is what all this whole thing comes down to. So the next big question is, how do you choose to see God? How do you choose to see him? Because right now, if there's any part of you that's like, okay, this is what I was raised to do, you're seeing God through a lens that doesn't serve you. You're seeing God through a lens of fear and shame and guilt, and this thing that's like, you have to fit in this box or else he's not going to love you. That's who you're choosing. That's how you're choosing to see him. Not for your family, right? You're an adult now. So it's like, how are you choosing? So are you choosing to see God as an angry, jealous God, or as the Christian Greek scriptures see him in 1 John 4:8? God is love. Okay? So, just a quick recap of those questions. 1 is your intention. What is your intention in your practice? All right? Is it based in love? 2, when you help others with the gift you practice, do you and they feel good? 3, what else can you say you have faith in that brings you harmony with godly nature love? And then the last one, how are you choosing to see God? You are choosing whatever you're believing. And that is to take responsibility for that. And then you can turn it around. So, to sum all this up and just come down to a close, because again, we're going to do a series on this because it's so big, and this is such a core area of doing light work and healing work. And so I am excited to get into this even more. I think it 100% was the catalyst to my transformation, as far as me getting really clear with this information for myself, but also to show up and serve and make an impact in the world. Not from a judgmental place, but from a place of love for myself first and truth. And there's nothing anyone can say that's going to that's going to stop me from doing that, or because I don't care. It doesn't make any matter to me, because their opinion is not taken into consideration for my choices. They just aren't. Now, I mean, if it's like my mom, or, I am careful with what with her, because she is a very, hard Christian. She loves the Lord. That is her and I honor that with her, but she also is so good at believing in what I'm doing as well, without and that's her thing. So, what was your takeaway from this? What is it that I'm going to share the worksheet with you guys so you can go through these. And if I coach, so with you guys, so like Jen, we do like our next coaching session. If you want to work on this stuff, we absolutely can, because this is kind of opens the door to dropping judgment for everything else. Okay. So let me read some comments really quickly. Amber, what if every action you take in life leads? Okay, read that. Okay, Darla, sorry I missed the first part. If what I have heard is so good, love you and so proud of you. Oh, yes, I love you, Darla. I just dreamt about you yesterday. We need to connect this week. Jennifer, thank you. Yes. So, and if you aren't anyone I'm currently working with, that's okay. That isn't getting coaching, but I just want to say this one thing with coaching. It's fucking amazing. And if anybody, if you don't have a life coach, not just me, I'm not saying me, but if you don't have one, or you've never worked with one, I highly suggest. And I am so confident now in my coaching skills. I know 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is what I am supposed to be doing. And it's helping everyone get out of their own way. It's just, I love it. And this came through the chakras, right? Me studying the chakras, doing energy work, doing mindfulness work, doing all the evil things. And how can love come from that if it's not good, right? All right. So, I will see you guys Wednesday night at 7. We're going to dive deeper into the model, and learn how to heal through our feelings using the model. Okay. So, if you haven't joined my email list, I'll put that link at the bottom. And if you want to do a 30-minute call just to kind of do some laser coaching or whatever, let me know. And you guys have a good night. I love you. Bye.